Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today I'm going to talk to you about some good news with respect to the Portuguese tax system, particularly for Americans. So Portugal has been one of the most popular places over the last, few years, and that has attracted all kinds of a flood of people to the point where literally the immigration system is quite backed up. It's hard to get appointments. Golden visa applicants have been waiting for over a year, etc. However, I have previously created some videos where I've talked about why Portugal has been bad for Americans, or why Americans should generally not consider Portugal as a solution. Today I'm here to give you some great news for people who are Americans, a really interesting court case that took place. I will fill you in about how some things are changing that might be for the better. So let's dive in and discuss what is changing in Portugal, what you should know about it, and how, in particular for Americans, it is going to make things a little bit better, especially if you're given certain backgrounds. Before we do that, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notification bell. If you're first time here, welcome. I am Michael from Offshore Citizen. We are international tax experts, some of the top people in dealing with international relocation, setting up your company abroad, doing business in multiple countries, etc. If you're interested at all in help with how to determine what is the best solution for you, for your business, or in terms of implementing that solution, forming companies, opening bank accounts, getting residencies, citizenships, buying second passports, etc., please reach out to us. You can book a call with me, calendar.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or you can send a message through offshorecitizen.net. All right, so first things first, the history here. So Portugal, for those of you who are not aware, has a 28% capital gains tax. And this is higher than the top bracket, at least on the federal level in the US. In the US, long-term capital gains benefit from a lower rate than the normal income rate, which happens to be 20% at the top end. Now it can be 15, it can be lower depending on your tax bracket, but the top end is 20%, as opposed to a flat 28% in Portugal. This could mean that maybe you should be paying 15 in the US and it's 28. Well, what would typically happen is that if an American moved to Portugal and they were investing in the stock market, buying bonds, doing real estate in some third country, etc., that they could end up in a situation where they wouldn't just pay the US rate, they would pay the Portuguese rate, which would be higher. Now, they would avoid double tax. They don't get hit in both places because they get a tax credit in the US for the taxes paid in Portugal, but nevertheless, this was actually a worse situation for them relocating to this other country, at least financially from a tax standpoint. And this really affects a lot of people who are, say, in a situation where maybe they're going to be living off investment income, they're going to be doing they're just investors in general, etc. Good news, one of the preeminent firms in Portugal that we work with, they are some of the top people who actually helped to draft some of the laws, have recently challenged and won a fairly significant case in this matter. So in this case, they argued that because of the fact that the Americans were subject to tax on their worldwide income as citizens, and therefore they were taxable on this capital gains, that therefore they should not have to pay the Portuguese tax under the NHR. And this is because of the fact there's a tax treaty between Portugal and the US, and the terms of that treaty allow the US to tax the foreign income. This is kind of a carve-out in tax treaties within the US. The tax office disagreed. They said, no, this should absolutely be taxable in Portugal. They went to court, and they had a unanimous decision by 3 different parties saying, absolutely not. It is in fact that this should not be taxable in Portugal because it is taxable in the US. Now it wasn't appealed, and this was not taken to the next level in terms of being able to say, all right, well, can we necessarily for sure apply it as a standard? Like, it didn't change the tax rules themselves, but the court case is a very good indicator of how things would go in the future. If you are an American who is interested in moving to Portugal, or you are already living in Portugal, this is something you should pay attention to, because it could mean fairly significant savings for you going forward, and definitely does something to make Portugal a more attractive place for people who want to relocate, at least from the US. It isn't necessarily applicable in the case of other countries, because in the case of those other countries, the tax treaties that do exist, where there is one, don't have that clause. So it can come up in certain cases where, for example, you have a piece of property. If you have, say, an investment in UK in real estate or something like that, and it's taxed in UK, then you're not going to pay tax in Portugal. But if you were talking about a stock, that would typically be taxable in your place of residence, that wouldn't apply. But it actually means that Portugal is better for Americans than for others in this particular case. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions about it, put it in the comments below. If you want advice on your specific situation, everybody's situation is different. Every solution needs to be customized, etc. There is no one size fits all. So please reach out to us. You can book a call with me, as I was mentioning, or you can send a message, and we're happy to help you. I will see you all on the next video.